Let's try this again. Put your devices on Do Not Disturb. All right, there we go. Just hanging out, reading some Word. See if we can get the room to fill up a little bit. Beautiful day. Weather's been great. Try this again. We're in Sirach, chapter 10. The wisdom of the lowly will lift up his head and make him sit in the midst of great men. Do not commend a man for his beauty. Do not abhor a man for his outward appearance. The bee is little among flying creatures, but what it produces is the best of confections. Do not boast about the clothes you wear, and do not exalt yourself in the day of honor. For the Lord's works are wonderful, and his works are hidden among men. Many kings have sat down on the ground, but one who was never thought of has worn a crown. Many mighty men have been greatly disgraced. Men of renown have been delivered into other men's hands. Do not blame before you investigate. Understand first, and then rebuke. Do not answer before you have heard. Do not interrupt while someone else is speaking. Do not argue about a matter that does not concern you. Do not sit with sinners when they judge. My son, do not be busy about many matters, for if you meddle much, you will not be unpunished. If you pursue, you will not overtake, and you will not escape by fleeing. There is one who toils, labors, and makes haste, and is even more behind. There is one who is sluggish and needs help, lacking in strength, and who abounds in poverty. But the Lord's eyes looked on him for good, and he raised him up from his low condition, and lifted up his head so that many marveled at him. Good things and evil, life and death, poverty and riches are from the Lord. The Lord's gift remains with the godly, his good pleasure will prosper forever. One grows rich by his diligence and self-denial, and this is the portion of his reward. When he says, I have found rest, and now I will eat of my goods, he does not know how much time will pass until he leaves them to others and dies. Be steadfast in your covenant, and be doing it, and grow old in your work. Do not marvel at the work of a sinner, but trust the Lord and stay in your labor, for it is an easy thing in the sight of the Lord to swiftly and suddenly make a poor man rich. The Lord's blessing is in the reward of the godly. He makes his blessing flourish in an hour that comes swiftly. Do not say, what use is there of me? What further good things can be mine? Do not say, I have enough. What harm could happen to me now? In the day of good things, evil things are forgotten. In the day of evil things, a man will not remember things that are good. For it is an easy thing in the sight of the Lord to reward a man in the day of death according to his ways. The affliction of an hour causes delights to be forgotten. In the end, a man's deeds are revealed. Call no man happy before his death. A man will be known in his children. Do not bring every man into your house, for many are the plots of a deceitful man. Like a decoy partridge in a cage, so is the heart of a proud man. Like a spy, he looks for your weakness, for he lies in wait to turn things that are good into evil, and assigns blame in things that are praiseworthy. From a spark of fire, a heap of many coals is kindled, and a sinful man lies in wait for blood. Take heed of an evildoer, for he plans wicked things, lest perhaps he ruins your reputation forever. Receive a stranger into your house, and he will distract you with arguments and estrange you from your own. If you do good, know to whom you do it, and your good deeds will have thanks. Do good to a godly man, and you will find a reward, if not from him, then from the Most High. No good will come to him who continues to do evil, nor to him who gives no alms. Give to the godly man, and do not help the sinner. Do good to the one who is lowly. Do not give to an ungodly man. Keep back his bread, and do not give it to him, lest he be subtle with you, for you would receive twice as much evil for all the good you have done to him. For the Most High also hates sinners, and will repay vengeance to the ungodly. Give to the good man, and do not help the sinner. A man's friend will not be fully tried in prosperity. His enemy will not be hidden in adversity. In a man's prosperity, his enemies are grieved. In his adversity, even his friend leaves. Never trust your enemy, for his wickedness is like corrosion in copper. Though he humbles himself and walks bowed down, still be careful and beware of him. You will be to him as one who has wiped a mirror, to be sure it does not completely tarnish. Do not set him next to you, lest he overthrow you and stand in your place. Do not let him sit on your right hand, lest he seek to take your seat. And at the last you acknowledge my words and be pricked with my sayings. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten by a snake, or any who come near wild beasts? Even so, who will pity him who goes to a sinner, and is associated with him in his sins? For a while he will stay with you, and if you falter, he will not stay. The enemy will speak sweetly with his lips, and in his heart plan to throw you into a pit. The enemy may weep with his eyes, but if he finds opportunity, he will want more blood. If adversity meets you, you will find him there before you, pretending to help you. He will trip you. He will shake his head, clap his hands, whisper much, and change his countenance. He who touches pitch will be defiled. He who has fellowship with a proud man will become like him. Do not take up a burden above your strength. Have no fellowship with one who is mightier and richer than yourself. What fellowship would be the earthen pot have with the kettle? The kettle will strike, and the pot will be dashed in pieces. The rich man does a wrong and threatens. The poor is wronged and apologizes. If you are profitable, he will make merchandise of you. If you are in lack, he will forsake you. If you own something, he will live with you. He will drain you bare and will not be sorry. Does he need you? Then he will deceive you, smile at you and give you hope. He will speak kindly to you and say, "What do you need?" He will shame you with his meats until he has made you bare twice or three times, and in the end he will laugh at you to scorn. Afterward he will see you, will forsake you, and shake his head at you. Beware that you are not deceived and brought low in your mirth. If a mighty man invites you to be reserved, and he will invite you more, do not press him, lest you be thrust back. Do not stand far off, lest you be forgotten. Do not try to speak with him as an equal, and do not believe his many words, for he will test you with much talk, and will examine you in smiling manner. He who does not keep secrets to himself is unmerciful. He will not hesitate to harm you and to bind. Keep them to yourself and be careful, for you walk in danger of falling. Every living creature loves its own kind, and every man loves his neighbor. All flesh associates with their own kind. A man will stick to people like himself. What fellowship would the wolf have with the lamb? So is the sinner to the godly. What peace is there between a hyena and a dog? What peace is there between a rich man and the poor? Wild donkeys are the prey of lions in the wilderness. Likewise, poor men are feeding grounds for the rich. Lowliness is an abomination to a proud man. Likewise, a poor man is an abomination to the rich. When a rich man is shaken, he is supported by his friends, but when one of low degree is down, he is pushed away even by his friends. When a rich man falls, there are many helpers. He speaks things not to be spoken, and men justify him. A man of low degree falls, and men rebuke him. He utters wisdom and is not listened to. A rich man speaks, and all keep silence. They extol what he says to the clouds. A poor man speaks, and they say, "Who is this?" If he stumbles, they will help to overthrow him. Riches are good if they have no sin. Poverty is evil in the mouth of the ungodly. The heart of a man changes his countenance, whether it is for good or for evil. A cheerful countenance is a sign of a prosperous heart. Devising proverbs takes strenuous thinking. Blessed is the man who has not slipped with his mouth and does not suffer from sorrow for sins. Blessed is he whose soul does not condemn him and who has not given up hope. Riches are not appropriate for a stingy person. What would an envious man do with money? He who gathers by denying himself gathers for others. Others will revel in his goods. If one is mean to himself, to whom will he be good? He will not enjoy his possessions. There is none more evil than he who is stingy with himself. This is a punishment for his wickedness. Even if he does good, he does it in forgetfulness. In the end, he reveals his wickedness. A miser is evil. He turns away and disregards souls. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion. Wicked injustice dries up his soul. A miser begrudges bread, and it is lacking at his table. My son, according to what you have, treat yourself well, and bring worthy offerings to the Lord. Remember that death will not wait, and that the covenant of Hades has not been shown to you. Do good to your friend before you die. According to your ability, reach out and give to him. Do not defraud yourself of a good day. Do not let the portion of a good desire pass you by. Will you not leave your labors to another, and your toils be divided by lot? Give, take, and treat yourself well, because there is no seeking of luxury in Hades. All flesh grows old like a garment, for the covenant from the beginning is, you must die. Like the leaves flourishing on a thick tree, some it sheds and some grow. So also are the generations of flesh and blood. One comes to an end and another is born. Every work rots and falls away, and its builder will depart with it. Blessed is the man who meditates on wisdom, and who reasons by his understanding. He who considers her ways is in his heart will also have knowledge of her secrets. Go after her like one who tracks, and lie in wait in her ways. He who pries at her windows will also listen at her doors. He who lodges close to her house will also fasten a nail to her walls. He will pitch his tent near at hand to her, and will lodge in the lodging where good things are. He will set his children under her shelter, and will rest under her branches. By her he will be covered from heat, and will lodge in her glory. Wisdom. Imagine that. He who fears the Lord will do this. He who has possession of the law will obtain her. As a mother, she will meet him and receive him as a wife married in her virginity. She will feed him with bread of understanding and give him water of wisdom to drink. He will be stayed on her and will not be moved. He will rely on her and will not be confounded. She will exalt him above his neighbors. She will open his mouth in the midst of the congregation. He will inherit joy, a crown of gladness, and a perpetual name. Foolish men will not obtain her. Sinners will not see her. She is far from pride. Liars will not remember her. Praise is not attractive in the mouth of a sinner, for it was not sent to him from the Lord. For praise will be spoken in wisdom. The Lord will prosper it. Do not say, "It is through the Lord that I fell away," for you will not do the things that he hates. Do not say, "It is he that caused me to err," for he has no need of a sinful man. The Lord hates every abomination, and those who fear him do not love them. He himself made man from the beginning, and left him in the hand of his own counsel. If you will keep the commands. To be faithful is good pleasure. He has set fire and water before you. You will stretch out your hand to whichever you desire. Before man is life and death. Whichever he likes, it will be given to him. For great is the wisdom of the Lord. He is mighty in power and sees all things. His eyes are on those who fear him. He knows every work of man. He has not commanded any man to be ungodly. He has not given any man license to sin. Do not desire a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons. If they multiply, do not delight in them, unless the fear of the Lord is in them. Do not trust in their life. Do not rely on their condition, for one is better than 1,000, and to die childless than to have ungodly children, for from one who has understanding a city will be populated, but a race of wicked men will be made desolate. I have seen many such things with my eyes. My ear has heard mightier things than these. In the congregation of sinners a fire will be kindled. In a disobedient nation wrath is kindled. He was not pacified toward the giants of ancient time, who revolted in their strength. He did not spare Lot's neighbors, whom he abhorred for their pride. He did not pity the people of perdition, who were taken away in their sins, or in like manner the 600,000 footmen who were gathered together in the hardness of their hearts. Even if there is one stiff-necked person, it is a marvel if he will be unpunished. For mercy and wrath are both with him, who is mighty to forgive, and he pours out wrath. As his mercy is great, so is his correction also. He judges a man according to his works. The sinner will not escape with plunder. The perseverance of the godly will not be frustrated. He will make room for every work of mercy. Each man will receive according to his works. The Lord made the king of Egypt so stubborn that he would not acknowledge the Lord, in order that the world might know the Lord's works. He shows his mercy to all creation. He has divided his light from darkness with a plumb line. Do not say, "I will be hidden from the Lord," and "Who will remember me from on high?" I will not be known among so many people. For what is my soul in the boundless creation? Behold the heaven of heavens, the deep and the earth will be moved when he visits. The mountains and the foundations of earth together are shaken with trembling when he looks at them. No heart will think about these things. Who could comprehend his ways? Like a tempest which no man can see. Yes, the majority of his works are hidden. Who will declare his works of righteousness? Who will endure them? for his covenant is far off. He who is lacking in understanding thinks about these things. An unwise and erring man thinks follies. My son, listen to me. Learn knowledge and heed my words with your heart. I will impart instruction with precision and declare knowledge exactly. In the judgment of the Lord are his works from the beginning. From the making of them he has determined their parts. He arranged his works for all time, and their beginnings to their generations. They are not hungry or weary, and they do not cease from their works. No one thrusts aside his neighbor. They will never disobey his word. After this the Lord also looked at the earth and filled it with his blessings. All manner of living things covered its face, and into it is their return. The Lord created mankind out of the earth and turned them back to it again. He gave them days by number and a set time, and gave them authority over the things that are on it. He endowed them with strength appropriate for them, and made them according to his own image. He put the fear of man on all flesh, and gave him dominion over beasts and birds. The Lord gave them the 5 senses, but he also gave them a 6th, intelligence, and a 7th, reason, which enables them to interpret what comes to them through the senses. He gave them counsel, tongue, eyes, ears, and a heart to have understanding. He filled them with the knowledge of wisdom and showed them good and evil. He set his eye on their hearts to show them the majesty of his works, and he allowed them to take pride forever in his marvelous deeds, and they will praise the name of his holiness, that they may declare the majesty of his works. He added to them knowledge and gave them a law for life for a heritage. He made a perpetual covenant with them and showed them his judgments. Their eyes saw the majesty of his glory. Their ears heard the glory of his voice. He said to them, beware of all unrighteousness. So he gave them command, each man concerning his neighbor. Their ways are ever before him. They will not be hidden from his eyes. From childhood on they tend to be evil. Their heart is like stone, and they do not seem to be able to make it more human. He divided the nations of the whole earth. For every nation he appointed a ruler. But Israel is the Lord's portion. Israel is his firstborn, whom he disciplines as he brings him up. He gives him the light of his love and never neglects him. All their works are as clear as the sun before him. His eyes are continually on their ways. Their iniquities are not hidden from him. All their sins are before the Lord. But the Lord is gracious and knows his creatures, so he has spared them rather than abandoned them. With him the kindness of a man is as a signet. He will keep the bounty of a man as the apple of the eye. Afterward he will rise up and repay them, and render their repayment on their head. However, to those who convert he grants a return. He comforts those who are losing patience. Return to the Lord and forsake sins. Make your prayer before his face often less. Turn to the Most High again, and turn away from iniquity. Greatly hate the abominable thing. Who will give praise to the Most High in Hades? In place of those who live and return thanks, thanksgiving perishes from the dead, as from one who does not exist. He who is in life and health will praise the Lord. How great is the mercy of the Lord, and his forgiveness to those who turn to him. For all things cannot be in men, because the Son of Man is not immortal. What is brighter than the sun? Yet even this fails. An evil man thinks about flesh and blood. He looks on the power of the height of the heaven, while all men are earth and ashes. He who lives forever created all things in common. The Lord alone will be justified. and there is no other besides him. He guides the world with his hand, and everything obeys him. He is the king of all things, and his power separates what is holy from what is not. He has given power to declare his works to no one. Who could trace out his mighty deeds? Who could measure the strength of his majesty? Who could also proclaim his mercies? As for the wondrous works of the Lord, it is not possible to take from them, nor add to them. Neither is it possible to explore them. When a man has finished, then he is just at the beginning. When he ceases, then he will be in perplexity. What is mankind, and what purpose do they serve? What is their good, and what is their evil? The number of man's days at the most are 100 years, as a drop of water from the sea, and a people from the sand. So are a few years in the day, or time, or of age. For this reason the Lord was patient over them, and poured out his mercy on them. He saw and perceived their end, that it is evil. Therefore he multiplied his forgiveness. The mercy of a man is on his neighbor, but the mercy of the Lord is on all flesh, reproving, disciplining, teaching, and bringing back. As a shepherd does his flock, he has mercy on those who accept disciplining, and that diligently seek after his judgments. My son, add no blemish to your good deeds, and no grief of words in any of your giving. Does the dew not relieve the scorching heat? So a word is better than a gift. Behold, is a word not better than a gift? Both are with a gracious man. A fool is ungracious and abusive. The gift of an envious man consumes the eyes. Learn before you speak. Take care of your health before you are sick. Before judgment, examine yourself, and in the hour of visitation you will find forgiveness. Humble yourselves before you become sick. In the time of sins, show conversion. Let nothing hinder you to pay your vow in due time. Do not wait until death to be justified. Before you make a vow, prepare yourself. Do not be like a man who tempts the Lord. Think about the wrath coming in the days of the end, and the time of vengeance when he turns away his face. In the days of fullness, remember the time of hunger. Remember poverty and lack in the days of wealth. From morning until evening the time changes. All things are speedy before the Lord. A wise man is cautious in everything. In days of sinning he will beware of offense. Every man of understanding knows wisdom. He will give thanks to him who found her. They who were understanding in sayings also became wise themselves and poured out apt proverbs. Do not go after your lusts. Refrain yourself from your appetites. If you give fully to your soul and delight of her desire, she will make you the laughingstock of your enemies. Do not make merry in such luxury, neither be tied to the expense thereof. Do not be made a beggar by banqueting on borrowing, when you have nothing in your purse. A workman who is a drunkard will not become rich. He who despises small things will fall little by little. Wine and women will make men of understanding fall away, and he who joins the prostitutes will be more reckless. Moths and worms will have him as their heritage. A reckless soul will be taken away. He who is hasty to trust is shallow-minded. He who sins will offend against his own soul. He who makes merry in his heart will be condemned. He who hates talk has less wickedness. Never repeat what is told you, and you will not be lacking. Whether it is of friend or enemy, do not tell it, unless it is a sin to you. Do not reveal it, for he has heard you and observed you, and when the time comes, he will hate you. Have you heard a word? Let it die with you. Be of good courage. It will not burst you. A fool will travail in pain with a word, as a woman in labor with a child. As an arrow that sticks in the flesh of the thigh, so is a word in a fool's belly. Reprove a friend. It may be that he did not do it. If he did something, it may be that he may not know it again. He may not do it again. Reprove your neighbor. It may be that he did not say it. If he has said it, it may be that he may not say it again. Reprove a friend, for many times there is slander. Do not trust every word. There is one who slips, and not from the heart. Who is he who has not sinned with his tongue? Reprove your neighbor before you threaten him, and give place to the law of the Most High, and do not be angry. Fearing the Lord is the first step towards his accepting you. He will love you if you are wise. Learn the Lord's commands. It is a discipline that gives life. Those who do what pleases him enjoy the fruit of the tree of immortality. All wisdom is the fear of the Lord. In all wisdom is the doing of the law, and what the knowledge of his omnipotence means. If a servant refuses to obey his master, but later does obey, the master is still angry. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. The prudence of sinners is not counsel. There is a wickedness, and it is abomination. There is a fool lacking in wisdom. Better is one who has small understanding and fears than one who has much prudence and transgresses the law. There is an exquisite subtlety, and it is unjust. There is one who perverts favor to gain a judgment. There is one who does wickedly, who hangs down his head with mourning. But inwardly he is full of deceit, bowing his face down and making it seem as if he were deaf of one ear. Where he is not known, he will be beforehand with you, and if for lack of power he is hindered from sinning, if he finds opportunity, he will do mischief. A man will be known by his look. One who has understanding will be known by his face when you meet him. A man's attire, grinning laughter, and gait show what he is. There is a reproof that is not timely, and there is a man who keeps silent and is wise. How good is it to reprove rather than to be angry? He who confesses will be kept back from hurt. Admit when you are wrong, and you will avoid embarrassment, as it is the lust of a eunuch to deflower a virgin. So is he who executes judgments with violence. There is one who keeps silent and is found wise, and there is one who is hated for his much talk. There is one who keeps silent, for he has no answer to make, and there is one who keeps silent as knowing his time. A wise man will be silent until his time has come, but the braggart and fool will miss his time. He who uses many words will be abhorred. He who takes authority for himself will be hated in it. There is a prosperity that a man finds in misfortunes, and there is a gain that turns to loss. There is a gift that will not profit you, and there is a gift that pays back double. There is an abasement because of glory, and there is one who has lifted up his head from a low estate. There is one who buys much for a little and pays for it again sevenfold. He who is wise in words will make himself beloved, but the pleasantries of fools will be wasted. The gift of a fool will not profit you, for his eyes are many instead of one. He will give little and insult much. He will open his mouth like a crier. Today he will lend, and tomorrow he will ask for it back. Such a one is a hateful man. The fool will say, I have no friend, and I have no thanks for my good deeds. They who eat my bread are of evil tongue. How often and how many will he be laughed to scorn? A slip on a pavement is better than a slip with the tongue, so the fall of the wicked will come speedily. A man without grace is a tale out of season. It will be continually in the mouth of the ignorant. An allegory from a fool's mouth will be rejected, for he will not speak it in its season. There is one who is hindered from sinning through lack. When he rests, he will not be troubled. There is one who destroys his soul through bashfulness. By a foolish countenance he will destroy it. There is one who, for bashfulness, makes promises to his friend, and he makes him his enemy for nothing. A lie is a foul blot in a man. It will be continually in the mouth of the ignorant. A thief is better than a man who is continually lying, but they will both inherit destruction. The disposition of a liar is dishonor. His shame is with him continually. He who is wise in words will advance him, and one who is prudent will please great men. He who tills his land will raise his heap high. He who pleases great men will get pardon for iniquity. Presents and gifts blind the eyes of the wise, and as a muzzle on the mouth turn away reproofs. Wisdom that is hidden and treasure that is out of sight, what profit is in them both? Better is a man who hides his folly than a man who hides his wisdom. My son, have you sinned? Add no more to it, and ask forgiveness for your past sins. Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent, for if you draw near, it will bite you. Its teeth are lion's teeth, slaying men's souls. All iniquity is as a two-edged sword. Its stroke has no healing. Terror and violence will lay waste to riches. So the house of an arrogant man will be laid waste. Supplication from a poor man's mouth reaches to the ears of God, and his judgment comes speedily. One who hates reproof is in the path of the sinner. He who fears the Lord will turn again in his heart. He who is mighty in tongue is known far away, but the man of understanding knows when he slips. He who builds his house with other men's money is like one who gathers stones for his own tomb. The congregation of wicked men is as a bundle of tow, with a flame of fire at the end of them. The way of sinners is paved with stones, and at the end of it is the pit of Hades. He who keeps the law becomes master of its intent. The end of the fear of the Lord is wisdom. He who is not clever will not be instructed. There is a cleverness which makes bitterness abound. The knowledge of a wise man will be made to abound as a flood, and his counsel as a fountain of life. The inward parts of a fool are like a broken vessel. He will hold no knowledge. If a man of knowledge hears a wise word, he will condemn it and add to it. The wanton man hears it, and it displeases him, so he puts it away behind his back. The discourse of a fool is like a burden in the way, but grace will be found on the lips of the wise. The mouth of the prudent man will be sought for in the congregation. They will ponder his words in their heart. As a house that is destroyed, so is wisdom to a fool. The knowledge of an unwise man is talk without sense. Instruction is as chains on the feet of an unwise man, and as shackles on the right hand. A fool lifts up his voice with laughter, but a clever man smiles quietly. Instruction is to the prudent man as an ornament of gold, and as a bracelet on his right arm. The foot of a fool rushes into a house, but a man of experience will be ashamed of entering. A foolish man peers into the door of a house, but a man who is instructed will stand outside. It is a lack of instruction in a man to listen at a door, but a prudent man will be grieved with the disgrace. The lips of strangers will be grieved at these things, but the words of prudent men will be weighed in the balance. The heart of fools is in their mouth, but the mouth of wise men is their heart. When the ungodly curses Satan, he curses his own soul. A whisperer defiles his own soul and will be hated wherever he travels. A slothful man is compared to a stone that is defiled. Everyone will hiss at him in his disgrace. A slothful man is compared to the filth of a dunghill. Every man who takes it up will shake out his hand. An uninstructed child is a disgrace to his father, and a foolish daughter is born to his loss. A prudent daughter will inherit a husband of her own. She who brings shame is the grief of her father. She who is bold brings shame on father and husband. She will be despised by both of them. Unseasonable discourse is as music in mourning, but stripes and correction are wisdom in every season. He who teaches a fool is the one who glues a potsherd together. Even as one who wakes a sleeper out of a deep sleep, he who teaches a fool is as one who teaches a man who slumbers. In the end, he will say, "What is it?" Children who are brought up well do not show the humble origin of their parents. Children who are not brought up well, who are arrogant and conceited, are a stain on the noblest family. Weep for the dead, for he lacks light. Weep for a fool, for he lacks understanding. Weep more sweetly for the dead, because he has found rest. But the life of the fool is worse than death. Mourning for the dead lasts 7 days, but for a fool and an ungodly man all the days of his life. Do not talk much with a foolish man. Do not go to one that has no understanding. Beware of him, lest you have trouble and be defiled in his onslaught. Turn away from him, and you will find rest, and you will not be wearied in his madness. What would be heavier than lead? What is its name but a fool? Sand, salt, and a mass of iron are easier to bear than a man without understanding. Timber girded and bound into a building will not be released with shaking, so a heart established in due season on well-advised counsel will not be afraid. A heart settled on a thoughtful understanding is an ornament of plaster on a polished wall. Fences set on a high place will not stand against the wind, so a fearful heart in the imagination of a fool will not stand against any fear. He who pricks the eye will make tears fall. He who pricks the heart makes it show feeling. Whoever casts a stone at birds scares them away. He who insults a friend will dissolve friendship. If you have drawn a sword against a friend, do not despair, for there may be a way back. If you have opened your mouth against a friend, do not be afraid, for there may be reconciliation. Unless it is for insulting, arrogance, disclosing of a secret, or a treacherous blow, for any friend will flee these things. Gain trust with your neighbor in his poverty, that in his prosperity you might have gladness. Stay steadfast to him in the time of his affliction, that you may be heir with him in his inheritance. Before fire is the vapor and smoke of a furnace, so insults precede bloodshed. I will not be ashamed to shelter a friend, will not hide myself from his face. If any evil happens to me because of him, everyone that hears it will beware of him. Who will set a watch over my mouth and a seal of shrewdness on my lips, that I do not fall from it, and that my tongue does not destroy me? O Lord, Father and Master of my life, do not abandon me to their counsel. Do not let me fall by them who will set scourges over my thought and a discipline of wisdom over my heart, that they do not spare me for my errors and do not overlook their or my sins. Otherwise my errors might be multiplied and my sins abound, and I fall before my adversaries, and my enemy rejoice over me. O Lord, Father and God of my life, do not give me haughty eyes, and turn evil desire away from me. Let neither gluttony nor lust overtake me. Do not give me over to a shameless mind. Listen, my children, to the discipline of the mouth. He who keeps it will not be taken. The sinner will be overpowered through his lips. By them the insulter and the arrogant will stumble. Do not accustom your mouth to an oath, and do not be accustomed to naming the Holy One. For as a servant who is continually scourged will not lack a bruise, so he also who swears and continually utters the name will not be cleaned from sin. A man of many oaths will be filled with iniquity. The scourge will not depart from his house. If he offends, his sin will be on him. If he disregards it, he has sinned doubly. If he has sworn in vain, he will not be justified, for his house will be filled with calamities. There is a manner of speech that is clothed with death. Do not let it be found in the heritage of Jacob, for all these things will be far from the godly, and they will not wallow in sins. Do not accustom your mouth to gross rudeness, for it involves sinful speech. Remember your father and mother, for you sit in the midst of great men, that you are not forgetful before them, and become a fool by your custom, so you may wish that you had not been born. Curse the day of your naivety. A man who is accustomed to words of reproach will not be corrected all the days of his life. Two sorts of people multiply sins, and the third will bring wrath. A hot mind, as a burning fire, will not be quenched until it is consumed. A fornicator in the body of his flesh will never cease until he has burned out the fire. All bread is sweet to a fornicator. He will not cease until he dies. A man who goes astray from his own bed says in his heart, "Who sees me? Darkness is around me, and the walls hide me. No one sees me. For whom am I afraid? The Most High will not remember my sins. The eyes of men are his terror. He does not know that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, seeing all the ways of men and looking into secret places. All things were known to him before they were created, and also after they were completed. This man will be punished in the streets of the city. He will be seized where he least expects it. So also is a wife who leaves her husband and brings in an heir by a stranger. For first, she was disobedient in the law of the Most High. Second, she trespassed against her own husband. Third, she played the adulteress in whoredom and brought in children by a stranger. She will be brought out into the congregation. Her punishment will extend to her children. Her children will not take root. Her branches will bear no fruit. She will leave for her memory for a curse. Her reproach will not be blotted out, and those who are left behind will know that there is nothing better than the fear of the Lord, and nothing sweeter than to heed the commands of the Lord. Wisdom will praise her own soul, and will proclaim her glory in the midst of her people. She will open her mouth in the congregation of the Most High, and proclaim her glory in the presence of his power. I came out of the mouth of the Most High, and covered the earth as a mist. I lived in high places, and my throne is the pillar of the cloud. Alone I surrounded the circuit of heaven, and walked in the depth of the abyss, in the waves of the sea, and all the earth. And in every people and nation I got possession. With all these I sought rest, in whose inheritance will I lodge? Then the Creator of all things gave me a command. He who created me made my dwelling place to rest, and said, Let your dwelling place be in Jacob, and your inheritance in Israel. He created me from the beginning before the world. For all ages I will not cease to exist. In the holy dwelling place I ministered before him, so I was established in Zion. In the beloved city likewise he gave me rest. In Jerusalem was my domain. I took root in a people that was glorified. Even in the portion of the Lord's own inheritance I was exalted like a cedar in Lebanon, and like a cypress tree in the mountains of Hermon. I was exalted like a palm tree on the seashore, and as rose plants in Jericho, and as a fair olive tree in the plain. I was exalted as a plane tree, as cinnamon, as palathus. I've given a scent to perfumes, a choice myrrh. I spread abroad a pleasant fragrance, as galbanum, onyx, stace, and as the smell of frankincense in the dwelling place. As the terebinth I stretched out my branches. My branches are branches of glory and grace. As the vine I put out grace. My flowers are the fruit of glory and riches. I am the mother of beautiful love. O fear, knowledge, and holy hope. Since I am perpetual, I am given to all my children who are named by him. Come to me, all you who desire me, and be filled with my fruits. For my memorial is sweeter than honey, and my inheritance is sweeter than the honeycomb. Those who eat me will be hungry for more. Those who drink me will be thirsty for more. He who obeys me will not be ashamed. Those who work in me will not sin. All these things are the scroll of the covenant of the Most High God, the law which Moses commanded us for an inheritance for the assemblies of Jacob. Always be strong in the Lord. Stay with him, so that he may make you strong. There is no God but the Lord Almighty. Shabbat Shalom, homie. And no Savior accepts him. It is he who makes wisdom abundant. As Pishon and the Tigris in the days of the firstfruits, he makes understanding as full as the Euphrates, and as the Jordan in the days of harvest. Who makes instruction shine out as the light, as the Gion in the days of vintage. The first man did not know her perfectly. In like manner, the last has not explored her. For her thoughts are filled from the sea, and her counsels from the great deep. I came out as a canal stream from a river, and as an irrigation ditch into a garden. I said, I will water my garden, and will drench my garden bed. Behold, my stream became a river, and my river became a sea. I will yet bring instruction to light as the morning, and will make these things clear from far away. I will continue to pour out doctrine like prophecy, and leave it to the generations of ages. Behold that I have not labored for myself only, but for all those who diligently seek her. Wisdom. What do you know, bro? I am in Sirach chapter 25. I've been at it for almost an hour. Is Following Yeshua going live tonight? In three things I was beautified, and stood up beautiful before the Lord and men. the concord of relatives, and friendship of neighbors, and a woman and her husband that walk together in agreement. But three sorts of men my soul hates, and I am greatly offended at their life: a poor man that is arrogant, and a rich man that is a liar, and an old man that is an adulterer lacking understanding. In your youth you have not gathered, and how should you find in your old age? How beautiful is a thing is judgment for gray hairs, and for elders to know counsel. How beautiful is the wisdom of old men, and thought and counsel to men that are in honor. Much experience is the crown of old men, and their glory is the fear of the Lord. There are 9 things that I have thought of, and in my heart counted happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue: a man that rejoices his children, a man that lives and looks on the fall of his enemies. Happy is he that dwells with a wife of understanding, and he that has not slipped with his tongue, and he that has not served a man that is unworthy of him. Happy is he that has found prudence, and he that speaks in the ears of those who listen. How great is he that has found wisdom, yet there is none above him that fears the Lord. The fear of the Lord passes all things. He that holds it, to whom will he be likened? Fearing the Lord is the first step toward loving him, and faith is the first step towards loyalty to him. Give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of the woman, any calamity but a calamity from those who hate me, and any vengeance but the vengeance of enemies. There is no head above the head of the serpent, and there is no wrath above the wrath of an enemy. I would rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than keep house with a wicked woman. The wickedness of a woman changes her look and darkens her countenance as a bear does. Her husband will sit at meat among his neighbors, and when he hears it, he sighs bitterly. All malice is but little to the malice of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall on her. As the going up a sandy way is to the feet of the aged, so is a wife full of words to a quiet man. Do not throw yourself on the beauty of a woman. Do not desire a woman for her beauty. There is anger and impudence and great reproach. If a woman supports her husband, a wicked woman is a dejection of heart, and a sadness of countenance, and a wounded heart. A woman that will not make her husband happy is as the hands hang down and polished knees. From a woman was the beginning of sin, and because of her we all die. Do not give water an outlet, neither give freedom of speech to a wicked woman if she does not go as you would have her. Cut her off from your flesh. Happy is the husband of a good wife, and the number of his days will be doubled. A brave woman rejoices her husband, and he will fulfill his years in peace. A good wife is a good portion. She will be given in the portion of such as fear the Lord. Whether a man is rich or poor, a good heart makes a cheerful countenance at all times. Of 3 things my heart was afraid, and concerning the 4th kind I make supplication: the slander of a city, and the assembly of a multitude, and a false accusation. All these are more grievous than death. A grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous of another woman, and the scourge of a tongue communicating to all. A wicked woman is as a yoke of oxen shaken to and fro. He that takes hold of her is as one that grasps a scorpion. A drunken woman causes great wrath, and she will not cover her own shame. The whoredom of a woman is in the lifting up of her eyes, and it will be known by her eyelids. Keep strict watch on a headstrong daughter, lest she finds liberty for herself and uses it. Look well after an impudent eye, and do not marvel if it trespasses against you. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler, and drink of every water that is near. She will sit down at every post, and open her quiver against any arrow. The grace of a wife will delight her husband, and her knowledge will fatten his bones. A silent woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing worth so much as a well-instructed soul. A modest woman is grace on grace, and there is no price worthy of a continent soul. As the sun, when it arises in the highest places of the Lord, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of a man's house. As the lamp that shines on the holy candlestick, so is the beauty of the face in ripe age. As the golden pillars are on the base of silver, so are beautiful feet with the breast of one that is steadfast. My child, stay healthy while you are young, and do not give your strength to strangers. Search the whole land for a fertile field, and plant it with your own seed, trusting your own good stock. Then your children will survive, and grow up confident of their good family. A prostitute is like spit. A married woman who has affairs brings death to her lovers. A lawless man will get a godless wife as he deserves, but a man who honors the Lord will have a devout wife. A shameless wife enjoys making a disgrace of herself, but a modest wife will act modestly, even alone with her husband. A self-willed woman is a dog, but a woman with a sense of decency honors the Lord. A wife who honors her husband will seem wise to everyone, but if she dishonors him by her overbearing attitude, everyone will know that she is ungodly. The husband of a good wife is fortunate, because he will live twice as long. A loud-mouthed, talkative woman is like a trumpet sounding the signal for attack, and any man who has such a wife will spend his life at war. For two things my heart was grieved, and for the third anger comes on me. A man of war that suffers for poverty, and men of understanding that are counted as refuse. One that turns back from righteousness to sin, the Lord will prepare him for the sword. A merchant will heartily keep himself from wrongdoing, and a huckster will not be acquitted of sin. Well, I think we're going to stop there. So, I hope y'all got something from this. Until next time, shalom.